First chapter is Basics of Communication. Section 1. Significance and Method of Communication. 1. Significance and Method of Communication. There are 4 topics. 1. Significance of Communication. 2. Verbal Communication. 3. Non-verbal Communication. 4. Listening attentively, be emphatic, acceptance. Significance of communication. Communication is to communicate and share ideas, feelings, etc. between each other. It is necessary to learn communication skills as a method to establish a good relationship of trust with the other party. Purpose of communication are: develop relationship, understand others, collect information, share information. Verbal communication. The method of communication consists of verbal communication, in which language is positively used, and non-verbal communication, in which gesture and facial expression other than language are also used. Verbal communication is made through conversation via speech and sign language, and through letter and characters. Non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication is made through hands and body gestures and facial expressions. Element of personal communication is composed of verbal communication and non-verbal communication. Verbal communication is only 7%. Others are non-verbal communication. You can see how important non-verbal communication is when you communicate. Listen attentively. Be emphatic. Acceptance. Listen attentively. Attentive listening implies listening to the speaker carefully, correctly, and eagerly, showing it in your attitude. Be emphatic. Empathy implies sharing other opinions and feelings. It is important to try and understand things from the other party's standpoint. Acceptance. Acceptance implies accepting the other party's opinions and feelings without denying or admitting them. Second chapter is Communication with Users. Section 1. Communication with Users. 1. Communication with Users. There are 2 topics. 1. Technique of listening. Technique of positive listening. 2. Explanation and consent, informed consent. Technique of listening. Care workers communicate with users, their family members, and other specialists to support the better life of the users. In the topics of technique of listening, there are 3 parts. Respect of users' value. Points to remember regarding verbal communication. Points to remember regarding non-verbal communication. Respect of users' values. Each user has their own values based on the time and the environment the users have lived in. Care workers provide nursing care, respecting the feelings, thoughts, and values of the users. Points to remember regarding verbal communication. There are 3 parts. Wording. Technique of asking questions. Repeating. Wording. Care workers keep in mind to use polite wording. Technique of asking questions. A care worker should not keep asking questions to the users to get all the necessary information. Instead, the care worker should try to establish mutual communication with the users. Closed question. A closed question refers to a question that elicits a one-word response from the other party, such as yes or no, or A or B, like, would you like ramen? Yes. Communication becomes one-sided if you keep asking closed questions. Open question. An open question refers to a question that lets the other party answer freely, such as, what do you think? And how do you want to do it? Like, what is your favorite food? Let me see. Please note, however, that the other party may think that the user is blamed if you keep asking why to determine the reasons. Repeating. The care worker can give the user a message that I'm listening by repeating what the user said, like, I'm nervous to take a surgery. You are nervous to take a surgery, aren't you? Points to remember regarding non-verbal communication. There are 6 parts: gesture and facial expression, eye contact, tone, nodding and agreeing, posture, hand and body gestures, distance and touching. Gesture and facial expression. The care worker observes the gestures and facial expression of the user and communicate with the user based on observation. Eye contact. The care worker establishes eye contact on the same level with the user. This is because it is difficult for the user to know that the care worker is listening if there is no eye contact. The user will find it intimidating if the care worker looks down on the user. Tone. Talk to the user in a slow, soft tone of voice, pausing appropriately in between. Nodding and agreeing. Moving the head up and down to nod and agree with the user, saying, I quite agree, will show the attitude of listening carefully to what the user said. Posture, hand and body gestures. The care worker communicates face-to-face with the user. If you cross your arm, or legs, or lean back in the chair while you listen to someone, it will give a bad impression to the person. Distance and touching. In some countries, speaking with each other, maintaining a short distance in between, and touching each other will help develop a sense of affinity. In Japan, however, it is said that many people feel more comfortable when a certain distance is maintained, even between close friends. The content of the messenger sent by touching someone will be interpreted by the recipient in a variety of ways based on the timing, intensity, and frequency. Explanation and consent, informed consent. The care worker provides support for the user's decision making so that the user can live his or her usual life. When providing such support, the care worker should keep the following points in mind. Present options. Carefully explain the advantage and disadvantage of each option. Have the user select or decide at his or her own will. In order for the decision of the user to be realized, the care worker should respect the option and provide support. Okay, you are done with the first half of communication skills, which cover significance and method of communication in the chapter of basic communication, and communication with users in the chapter of communication with users. Congratulations! You can get one step closer to be a good caregiver. See you next lesson.